Oh, hey guys, look, trust us, bro. 2 million players. 2 million players. What exactly does that mean? Well, we got 2 million players. We're thrilled to celebrate this incredible milestone. Assassin's Creed Shadows has now surpassed the launches of Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. Thank you for joining our journey in feudal Japan. And yeah, that came out at 7 o'clock in the morning this past Saturday. And since then, there have been no updates when it comes to player count at all whatsoever. Now, that might change from the time that I'm recording this to the time that you guys are seeing this. But even still, okay, like I'm recording this Tuesday evening. So it's been, what, 4 full days without a proper uptick or, without a proper update, rather, as to how many people are actually playing this. It kind of lets you know the game's a flop. Okay, don't compare Assassin's Creed Shadows launch to the perfect storm of Valhalla benefited from Ubisoft. Internal email says, because with their forward-facing messaging, oh yeah, no, game's total a success. But when it comes to the internals, yeah, they're a little bit more skeptical, and they're willing to go ahead and, you need context on this. It's not a bomb, actually. You don't have to take a look at concurrent player counts on Steam, the 64,000. Okay, that's actually a small portion of the people that are playing this, because, trust this, bro. Ubisoft's internal email, yes, compares it to Origins, Odyssey, and Mirage. Okay, Mirage, widely regarded as the worst in the RPG series because, yeah, there's a clear line of delineation, and like I've stated before, a big fan of the first 3. Black Flag, it never really hit me like that. I'd have to go back and play it again, but, I was punched out by the time that the disastrous launch of Unity came around, which I hear has got considerably better, and Syndicate, like several other people, I was like, I'm done on this one. And since they've rebooted it and they've just turned it into a catch-all RPG set to different times on the calendar, Mirage is ass, Origins is fine, Valhalla, I hear from people it's either good or it's just overlong, bloated, and boring, and then Odyssey it's kind of the most well-regarded of the bunch. But Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla ended up performing very similarly. Okay, 10 to 15 million units sold, but Mirage, that was around 5, and that's sales. And those are reported sales. And when it comes to Shadows in the first week, all we've got is players. What are we talking about here? Okay, there is enormous pressure on Assassin's Creed Shadows to do well for Ubisoft globally after a number of delays and sales failures of this last year's Star Wars Outlaws. Oh yeah, that and many other things, okay? Because yeah, you had Skull and Bones at the beginning of the year, then you had X Defiant, and you also had, was it Prince of Persia? The Lost Crown, is that the proper one? But yeah, with the Skull and Bones crashing and burning, X Defiant being shut down, I think next month, mid-May or something like that. So yeah, in on and around 6 weeks from now, we'll just go with that one. That should cover it. And then the team that made the last Prince of Persia game getting completely and totally disbanded. Star Wars Outlaws is just kind of the cherry on that shit sundae. That was 2024 for Ubisoft. Instead, the company suffered a number of high-profile flops, layoffs, studio closures, and game cancellations in the run-up to Shadow's release. Things have gotten off to have got so bad at Ubisoft that the founding Memo family are reportedly exploring talks with Chinese mega corporation Tencent and other investors. Now, those buyout talks have stalled a little bit, mostly because I think we're just waiting for other companies to just wait and see how everything shakes out. Okay, how bad is the fallout of Shadows ultimately going to be, and then we'll run it back at a later date. Don't call us, we'll call you. So the video game world is watching Assassin's Creed Shadows early performance, and well, hey, 2 million players after launch, that's great. Hey, we had a million players in our first day, okay, but then yeah, very, very slow to update after that. Shadows became the most played Assassin's Creed game ever on Steam over the weekend with 64,825 peak concurrent players, although it's worth noting that it's the first game in the series to launch day one there since 2018's Odyssey. Oh, okay, so the game that we're not supposed to compare it to, because that is just such a far out aberration. We sold so many copies. Don't even ask us how we know. We just know that we sold so many copies. But yeah, Ubisoft hadn't been on Steam concurrently releasing their games over there since 2018. BioWare's single-player RPG Dragon Age: The Veilguard saw a peak of 89,418 players on Valve's platform, which is in fact a fair comparison because it's a game that was also delayed a considerable amount. A game that has a reasonably high amount of franchise name recognition, but still didn't end up doing shit. And we're talking about Veilguard, and Shadows performed under that. Yeah, you go ahead and try to spin that as a success. Remember, Veilguard had 1.5 million interactions. The fuck does that even mean? Okay, it's hard to call whether or not Shadows is below meeting or exceeding Ubisoft's expectations without knowing what those expectations were. I would imagine they were definitely hoping for Valhalla's 10 million sales. This is never, okay, unless we're, looking out on a decade-long timeline after price reductions, after sales. By sales, I mean price cut, until they hit those numbers, but maybe by the end of the year, maybe you might get 5 million, but you're also fundamentally going to be a different company by the end of the year. I guarantee that. Yeah, delving into this internal communication that paints a very grim picture, or at least one there's a lot of copium being pumped around in the office ventilation system. According to Ubisoft's internal communication, 27% of Shadow's total activations were on PC. Oh, so they're talking activations. Okay. Ubisoft is telling employees that Steam played a major role in Shadow's performance on PC. Well, yeah, it's the biggest platform for the medium, so of course it's going to play a gigantic role. So that's where it's interesting, right? Because 27%, and then you just try to figure out the math. And it's like, what? Okay, played a major role. So is that half of them on Steam, or you're really gonna have to do some funny math to come to that 2 million players? And by players, is that sales? Obviously, it's not. Is it activations? And what exactly is an activation? Now we'll get into that. Its early results are a strong validation of our decision to return to the platform. Generally, Ubisoft is talking up player engagement, which is at record levels, and feedback across a moderated, verified platforms. Those less affected by review bombing, yes, remains incredibly positive. Yeah, like that, 5.9 that you have on Metacritic? Yeah, no, the verified and very credible sources, those remains incredibly positive. Yeah, Shadows is the most wishlisted Ubisoft game of all time. Yeah, what exactly does that mean? Oh yeah, people are paying attention to when it's going to go on sale, and they might try it out then. But hey, it's got wishlist benchmarks. Cool. Better than any other Assassin's Creed game on Twitch, even Valhalla. Yeah, these are all fairly pathetic standards that is being pointed out by Mark Alexis Cote. Sent out, yes, the morale boosting company-wide email, 27% to PC sales down for their total sales. AC Shadows is the top first launch title on PlayStation, which we can't verify one way or another. Revenue is number 2 after Valhalla. Huh. Most player engagement, most wishlisted Ubisoft title of all time. The game is selling. The question is if it is selling enough to save Ubisoft. Well, according to the analysts in the industry, it's obviously not. Like, it's so obvious for the world to see, and yeah, we don't have to wait until the end of the month where we get the nebulous metrics of, yeah, this game was played the most on PlayStation and Xbox, and we can't tell you exactly the numbers, but, people at least, when they turned on their console, they fired this up for who knows how long, but they did, and how they got access to it, don't exactly know, but it's popular, I think. Many speculated that Assassin's Creed Shadows would be one of the best-selling games in the entire series, thanks to intense marketing, novel dual protagonist approach, and a long-requested feudal Japanese setting. But Ubisoft announced, yes, that it's reached 2 million players already. That speculation appears to be to have been well-founded, despite some really encouraging sales and engagement numbers, both officially revealed and reported. A top analyst and now claims that a strong performance may not be strong enough. Well, I would question the strong performance, full stop, but I digress. Despite taking things back to the roots of the series with a smaller scale, Mirage Shadows has returned to Ubisoft's, massive open-world RPG formula, has borne the pants off of anybody still playing it at this point in time. As mentioned, Ubisoft triumphantly announced a couple of days ago, 2 million players. Today it's reported by VGC that in terms of sales revenue, Shadows has achieved the second biggest launch in the series behind 2020's Valhalla. By being available on Steam on day one, it is also the leading game in the series on Valve's platform. After the series of underperforming releases, such as Star Wars Outlaws, free-to-play shooter X-Defiant, Shadows delivers some long-overdue positive news for Ubisoft. However, one leading video game analyst has claimed that these figures aren't going to completely turn the company's fortunes around. Media Research's Reese Elliott says the numbers do not reflect the smash hit Ubisoft desperately needs. Given the scope and development time of Assassin's Creed Shadows, the title has almost certainly not broken even yet. It's very much not on the trajectory to do that. Okay, sorry, Tom Henderson. Your idea that Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to hit 6 million sales, what was it, by the end of the month, or by the end of 3 months, or at least by the end of the year? Yeah, that's a big cope. But it's number 2 behind Valhalla. Shut your mouth. Well, launching on Steam straight away was certainly a boon for the game. Elliot compares Shadow's numbers on the platform to the port of Ghost of Tsushima, which treads on similar ground to the new Assassin's Creed. Despite it being a port of a then 4-year-old game, Tsushima sold roughly twice as many copies on Steam at launch than Shadows, according to data pulled from Alien Analytics. Assassin's Creed Shadows Steam sales also pale in comparison to 2025's true mega hits so far. 3 days after launch, Shadows apparently sold 310,000 copies. That's interesting, right? Because that data in and of itself, it's sketchy to try to get. That's why the only thing that you can really go by is concurrent player counts. The rest of that is just, it's wild approximations. Okay, split fiction. But yeah, if you're going to be doing an apples to apples comparison, if you're using the same numbers, then it's fair. Okay, in a similar time frame, split fiction shipped, 882,500 units on Steam. That's a brand new IP. That is a couch co-op, or no, I think you can do internet co-op, but that is a strictly 2-person game, and that just trounced the sales figures for Shadows. Monster Hunter Wilds, yes, also sold 10 times better at 3.7 million units according to Analane's data. Yeah, that's Monster Hunter Wilds is a huge game. Hopefully it's running better for people, because I heard that was a big problem at the launch. But so despite it being one of the most successful launches in the long-running series history, Assassin's Creed Shadows might not be enough to turn things around for Ubisoft, which, yep, we could kind of piece together on that one. And given the fact that Ubisoft is spending more time trying to ratio and get social media cred for dunking on Elon Musk and siding with fucking Hassan of all people, you should probably focus more on making a credible game that is going to save your company, or maybe you realize that ship has sailed and that there's no saving this absolute catastrophe. And no, I'm not just talking about Shadows. We're talking about Ubisoft, full stop. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.